We pulling?
What's up? I'm Jimfro, and this is our Mythic Guide to Magisters Terrace. If you want to see a full run-through of the dungeon, check out the Discord link below. We'll go over the bosses first and then any notable trash at the end. All of us old ducks might know this place from TBC, but it's not the same Terrace you knew. We've got all new bosses and trash, so let's get into it. On your way to the first boss, you'll go through the library. This is a pretty easy stealth puzzle, just don't go into any of the circles or you'll have to start over. There's a book towards the middle of the room, and clicking that will give you a haste buff that lasts for 30 minutes, but if you die, you'll lose it for the rest of the run. The first boss is Arcanotron Custos. You're going to want to clear the trash on at least one side of the room, but it might be worth doing both sides just to be safe. As soon as you pull the boss, you'll want to bring him all the way to the side. He's periodically going to knock the group back, and when he does, a puddle of goop will spawn under the boss that you need to move away from. Then he'll knock the tank back with a big tank buster. After he does this a couple times, he's going to run out of energy and channel refueling protocol. He'll start channeling for about 20 seconds, sucking balls towards himself that you need to run into before they reach him. When you soak these, they'll put a stacking debuff on you that ticks pretty damn hard if you have more than 2 stacks, and you'll also spawn more goop under your feet. But best of all, the entire time the boss is channeling, he takes 20% more damage, and we love that. Then the fight just repeats after that. Make your way inside and you'll reach Seranel Sunlash. This fight is as simple as it gets. He's going to put out 2 markers on players that do dot damage. The only way to remove this is by going inside of the bubble that the boss spawns a few seconds later. Do this one at a time though, because when you clear the mark, it'll do a big chunk of damage to the whole group and slows you down. After 2 rounds of marks, he's going to cast Vow of Silence, which silences you for a massive 8 seconds and does an insane amount of damage. But if you're inside of the bubble when it goes off, you won't get silenced. You still take the damage though. Like I said, this fight is pretty breezy. Gemellus is the next boss you'll see, and this fight is a little weird, especially after the last 2 bosses. The first thing he'll do is spawn 2 mini clones. These are not tankable and kind of just wander around on their own. They replicate all of the mechanics the boss does, but they also share health with the boss. So cleave damage is huge value here, so the tank wants to make sure the boss is always on top of the clones as much as possible. The mechanics the boss does and the clones do are fairly simple. They'll have players drop puddles marked by an arrow on their head. Neuralink is the next ability where players will be linked to a clone, doing dot damage to you and giving the boss a big absorb shield. The way to clear this is by touching the one you're linked to. You'll know which one it is because there's an arrow at your feet that point towards the clone you need to touch. Then he'll do Astrograsp, which creates temporary puddles under the boss and clones and tries to pull players into it. Just resist the pull and watch your health because the healer might be struggling here for a second. At 50%, the boss creates 2 more clones. The mechanics are the same, but they'll happen to everyone at the same time now, so it just gets a little bit more hectic. And there's also 2 more clones to cleave now too, which we love. Degentrius is the final boss, and the first thing he's going to do is split the room into 4 sections with beams. Touching the beam is real bad, so don't do that. You want to make sure you have at least 1 person in each quadrant, not counting the tank because they have their own shit to worry about. The main mechanic of the boss is basically volleyball. Just soak the circles on the ground before the ball hits the ground, and it'll bounce to somewhere else in the room. If a ball hits the ground, you're dead. After a few bounces, it explodes for party-wide damage, then the whole thing starts over again. While this is happening, some players will be marked with spiky lines. These fire orbs in those directions after a random amount of seconds, so avoid your spiky friends and just wash your feet. Tanks are going to get hit by a big circle and then a magic debuff. Run this toward the edge and call for a dispel to drop your goop puddle. Those are all the bosses, but here's a few notable trash mobs you should know about as well. Right in your first few pulls, you're introduced to 2 enemies you need to be prepared for. The Arcane Magisters will cast Polymorph. This is a super long cast and needs to be kicked. Healers can also dispel anyone that's polymorphed if the cast does go off. The Arcane Sentries will shackle your tank, doing a ton of magical dot damage and rooting them in place. Healers can dispel this, and anything that removes roots works as well. Tiger's Lust, Freedom, Shapeshift, things like that. The Blazing Pyromancer casts Pyroblast, which is a one-shot, so make sure you interrupt this. Shadowed Voidcallers channel Consume Shadows, which does massive party-wide ticking damage over a few seconds that the healers need to be ready for. And Void Terrors cast a party-wide fear that needs to be interrupted or you'll likely wipe. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the dungeon. If you want to see an extended guide of us running through the dungeon where we talk about every pull and every boss as we go through it, check out the Patreon link below. Peace.